Now, for this afternoon, I call the Special Library Board of Trustees meeting to order. If you please all rise for the proceedings. Just before we get started, as many of you may have already noticed, the acoustics in this room are a little bit difficult. So if everyone can try to be quiet, so we can all hear. When you come up to the microphone, and speak closely, clearly, and possibly spell your last name. And I also wanted to let you know that all written comments that we've received as of today are all part of the written record. So with that, all members of the public giving comment, you have 3 minutes to voice your concern or statement. Is there anyone here that would like to please come up to the podium. Thank you. For the Churchill County School District, I was a library assistant for 8 years and a qualified librarian for 20 years. We worked in the county on all place for the children. I was an elementary librarian and for the children of the community and to encourage them to love reading and love books. And we worked very closely with the county. I such a long time. I have seen many changes of direction and I've got, all time. And I have found the support staff, volunteers in this community, hardworking, and making the library a welcome place, and always being helpful and always being dedicated to their job. It includes very much the last group of supporting volunteers, which I am very excited for that. I know it's difficult for someone new to come into the library and work with the staff and work with the community. Beautiful and large library and ours small communities. And I say one of the few when I first came, I was told that one of these started downtown, not altering, sort of, and look what library. or buying a house. You should buy one about 3 times. Right? That means what we just that means that one right now. And I just really value the library. The librarian I have one more thing. So I called Best yeah, not know the library, a little frustrating. But I talked to them, and even though the budget is for the next year, I've been very upset that both the library and the museum had budget. They do have very fun. So I'm going to go over and give the we like it. I know you guys have some discretionary funds, and we love it. You could get the budget for both the museum and the library that were last year. Those discretionary funds. So for the library or the museum, going over and thank you. Thank you. I have one Any revisions, ladies? No. Motion to. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. 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 Motion. Thank you very much. Next up on the agenda is Kelly Kelly's resignation as a member and the chair of the Churchill County Library Board of Trustees, dated May 16, 2024. Item. And regarding the evaluation of the job performance of Library Director C.L. Quillen. Creation of company. Executive function. Oops, I'm
I'm sorry, I lost my place again. Okay. Includes consideration of the library director's character, any alleged misconduct, and professional competence. Take administrative action, which can include action up to and including termination of Cohen's employment as library director. The Library Board of Trustees may take a recess during consideration and discussion of this agenda. Reverend Garcia, would you like to make a comment?
Understand what you have. Okay. 5 the library. Library. We do have plans in place to open the library for tomorrow for our summer reading kickoff. Several volunteers who are willing to assist with the summer reading kickoff outside while the library is open for, all of our normal business inside tomorrow. Happy to answer any questions. Obviously, I would love to have the library open a full number of hours that we are normally open, but with it being primarily myself, a page, which I'm maxing her hours as much as I can to benefit the library, and some volunteers. And while we do have some very, very dedicated volunteers, there's only so much that level of staffing you provide. So I put together a plan to have the library open 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. That meets the Nevada Public Library minimum standards for 20 hours a week. It includes nights and weekends as required. I've tried to look at all the different aspects. Tried to leave myself time for the administrative tasks that need to be done, hiring staff, training staff, paying the library's bills, placing orders for materials, and all of these things. I'm happy to answer any questions or make sense about that. I could have gone into a great deal more detail about it, but at some point, I wanted to give it point kind of as my answer any question. With that plan in place, I am trying to maintain as many of our programs and services as I can. I've identified a volunteer who is willing to do our story times on Thursday morning. I've got a plan in place for all of those story times. I've been very fortunate. Over my career, I've met a number of wonderful librarians who have worked with me to come up with a plan and help me to develop that and share some material. Not sure, again, what else I can, unless you've got specific questions. I have tried to maintain as many of our services, shifting them to other days where appropriate, and providing as much of the services that we can to our community, because I think it's very important.
Adding more hours to the schedule as we're able to bring more people on board.
Yeah. What I suggested in my plan is that as we are able to add with each full-time staff member, I feel like we could go up another full 8 hours. The staff will need some training just in how things are done or depending on their experience. But I feel fairly confident that we can go up, to start with, we heard the first person, and we still are running it at a little bit of a deficit because obviously it's either myself or that person going to get sick, so we're back down to, minimal levels of staffing. So I'm trying to be conservative, but also try to offer as much as we possibly can with what we have.
Thank you. Any questions from Trustee L? Anyone in the room today that would like to make a comment with regards to this particular agenda item. Something that's hopefully I have anything to say. And then I will call for a vote. We need to take action one way or the other today because we really need to get back to the business of running a library. So I'll accept a motion on this action.
Fortunately, the reality is, right? Essentially why we are here. There have been a lot of comments, a lot of questions, a lot of information, a lot of accusations over a very short amount of time. Board was unaware of any issues that have been discussed today, just a few short months ago. I've really been trying to move forward and figure out the best way. But the reality is, I'm having to the library. While I appreciate that CL has put some time into this plan, at this point, I do not see a realistic or feasible way to move forward with the reality that we're in. No, correct. Thank you. Effectively.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, the next order of business, I'm not sure. Point yet. I mean, we really don't have an acting director, so I'm not sure how we can tackle library schedule of hours and or ethics.
There are two agenda items regarding library schedule and hours and the supplemental position. Understanding that under the county leads to cash. Yes. Get a hold of it. We just the check with provide some direction. Got it. Anyway. Thank you.
Thank you. Regarding an update on the library schedule and hours, including actions to open the library and set the schedule and hours of operation, or actions to continue the temporary closure of the library. Andrew Morrison, okay. Mr. Stark, I understand you have some information to share.
So this has kind of been an ongoing issue for the last few weeks. County certainly cares about the library. And so in the event that something like this were to happen, it would happen today, we've been kind of making sure we had a way forward. So in short, we have reached out to Carol Lloyd, the previous librarian, previous library director, and she has agreed to come back on an interim basis. She will not be back for probably the third week in June. Mel Glover, the museum director, graciously volunteered to kind of give a little bit of oversight for the library during that period. I did reach out to a couple of staff that had recently tendered resignations, and they are willing to come back. I have not spoken to them as to what day, because I didn't know whether the library was going to be open tomorrow or whether it was going to be open on Monday. But I'm sure they are listening, and if not, I told them that I would contact them at the meeting to kind of talk about when the library could be open. We have received applications for the library position. Both the director and myself have reviewed those. We haven't scheduled any interviews, kind of in the event something like this may happen. And we recently also advertised for the library assistant. That just went out a couple of days ago. So that's going to take some time to get applications in and go through the process. So we have some staff. I do believe that our one part-time page who tendered her resignation, her last day was yesterday. I have not been able to reach her to see if she is interested in coming back, so I don't know the circumstances for why she's leaving. But we have 2 librarians that would be willing to come. So with that, we would have 2 librarians, a part-time page, and that's what we would have for staff. We would have 3 people.
When would you anticipate them starting?
Sorry?
When would you anticipate them starting?
Well, they didn't really say, but I think if the library was, tomorrow's pretty fast, but I think if the library were to open on Monday, as I've mentioned, I will reach out to them after we're done here and see if Monday would be something that would work. I didn't want to make any presumptions to when the library may or may not be open, so I didn't want to say, can you go on Saturday, can you go on Tuesday? I told them I would let them know after kind of this agenda item was talked about, the schedule.
Do you have a proposal as to how we're handle covering the summer reading program tomorrow? We have a bunch of scheduled trucks to come out.
I don't have anything for tomorrow. I did the best I could to find people that previous staff that had worked there that would be willing to come back. As far as who can cover this, who can cover that, I think tomorrow is pretty fast to try to put something together. It'd be 3:30 this afternoon on Friday. But I think I would reach out to Mel and see what he has. I would reach out to the 2 staff that want to come back and see what their thoughts are on what we can do.
And you may or may not have an answer to this, but if you've already been in conversation with Carol, is she able to consult on some of the hiring even from afar, even if she's coming back in the...
That's a good question, and Carol said she will make herself available. She's out of state, but she said that she would be more than happy to look at applications and give her opinion on any sort of hiring potentials. That would be the librarian position that we recently just evaluated. I know nothing about being in the library, so we like to have 2 or more people reviewing. I did the best I could, but she will certainly be involved in looking at applications and also to the point where she would be involved in the search and recruitment of a potential director.
Thank you.
That helps a lot. Part of the reason why I'm asking is because she's going to be coming back into an interim director position, and so she will need to be vetting the staff that's going to be coming through, and if she's willing to be a part of the conversation about how we staff,
that might allow us to keep moving forward on filling that position without having to delay.
Carol is, and Jeff, you may have a little more information, but I think Carol is more than willing to, kind of work from afar, so to speak, and see what we can do to move things forward.
Is it process? Let me back up a little bit. You know, all these last two people maybe are the ones that are willing to come back. And because it's such a short time period since they left, is it easier for them to just in, or is there a whole interview and, a more elongated process?
No, I mean, both of them really left last week, and so there's really no rehiring process. We're still kind of in a window where paperwork hasn't completely been filed and filled out, and so we're able to just say, if you want to come back.
They would come back into their existing position.
That's correct.
They left.
Yes, correct.
I don't understand right now. In terms of have the ability to also help with hiring or like scheduling a staff, and how would it look for him being enough?
I think this is similar to the situation when we lost the museum director and the library director kind of had 40,000 foot oversight as to what was happening at the library. I don't think, I would certainly value Mel's input on looking at to be continued. I think, I'm sorry, Jim Harvey, county manager. I think Mel would be standing in just to give the staff coming back someone to interact with and to go through. I think we would be relying really on Carol to do that review and to do that hiring process conversation. I have with Carol. She's looking at it. I think they of course on the county side, we have a process to bring Carol through the meeting next week. Good. And that's just trying to balance. Get anyone in, or is that authority lies with you as the library board? Yes. So ask staff outside the authorities that exist.
So how can we board this? It sounds like there is a plan in place. You've mentioned that 2 eyes need to be on the vetting of the candidates.
Yeah.
Minimum. And I'm sure that Carol Running Point, she can let us know what sorts of assistance she needs, but we're willing to help there. If you need us in any other mechanism, let us know.
No, absolutely. The complication becomes when you act individually from the board, you're acting individually and not representing the board. And so I can't just simply say, hey, could one or all of you review these applications? There's a complication with the quorum, and then you couldn't consult with each other. What do you think of this person? What do you think of that person? So, but I will absolutely, if there's something that is needed, I will certainly reach out to you individually and ask for any sort of assistance.
Thank you. delicate situation there too, Jess, because we're really not supposed to be involved with staffing. It's really the responsibility of the director. So we kind of oversee the director, but we don't really have a hand in level choices, what the staff level choices are. So it could be difficult. I know we were involved in the director's choosing. We probably will be again, but yeah.
Thank you for that clarification. It was more of a question of what the county might need from us in order to help them with the plan that they have put in place and move forward with it, because we do have a time limit factor there and we've got the
And certainly, I think they would welcome all of us as volunteers from time to time to help them transition, so that may be something.
It comes down to now, as I said, it's very difficult at this point in time to determine what the schedule is going to be. I think tomorrow is, I think tomorrow is probably unrealistic. I'm not moving it out, but every time a schedule is set, this board has to convene to kind of either input or approve. That's going to be really difficult starting Monday morning as to what the days are going to be. Now, we have 2 librarians and we have 1 part-time page. We're still in kind of the same situation. We can't be open all the time. And so I would ask, and if I'm crossing the line here, please tell me. But I would ask that maybe the board give Mel or Mr. Lee some sort of flexibility in what that schedule might look like, because I do not want to have to call another meeting on Monday for the following Monday to talk about what the schedule is, because then we're close to another meeting. This is a very awkward time. This is going to be, there's going to be some headache through this process. But I think every time we need to adjust the schedule, it can be very difficult to try to do that in a fluid motion when we have to convene forward every time we want to talk about it. I like to answer that.
The thing I would say is this is very complicated. But I think it's more like sort of like authorization of debt.
The schedule that we just, I'm sorry to finish up. The most recent one that we did adopt was a 48-hour week, and I think we were closed Sunday and Monday. I'm not sure I remember too well. But it was a shortened as close to the 55 hours, and I don't know if that will help to use to start, or at least use that as a starting point to discuss.
I think that is a good starting point. Have 2 librarians that can work and obviously split their shifts. We have 1 page limit. But if there are volunteers, those volunteers can do some of the duties that the pages typically do, and then the librarians can kind of cover that 48 hours. And I don't claim to be a scheduler for the library, and so this is kind of difficult for me to see who has to be where. But I think between the 2 librarians, 1 part-time page, and then volunteers, and I believe that the department or the library is still working with manpower. That's turning out to be a little longer than we had originally anticipated. But I think with some volunteers, we may be able to meet that. But I would really like for Mr. Glover, myself, and the remaining staff to maybe have a sit down and get their input on what they think it's going to take to keep the library open for, that minimum of 48 hours. The reason I was asking for some of that flexibility or, to remain a little more fluid, if we sit down and they say, 48 hours is really a stretch until we get this other librarian or until we get this library assistant, we would feel more comfortable with 40 hours. And these are the days and hours that we're thinking. And we're not saying take it from 48 to 12. This would be a small adjustment and allow remaining staff and Mr. Glover to kind of have that latitude to be able to make that decision.
Thank you.
Well, I could just make a motion for Mel to be approved for that interim role and have really working with HR, contacting our employees, and having the flexibility to set the schedule as they can with the traffic that they would have, so we can open for this next week, if at all possible. And then if we have to go back quickly after we get more information, that hours of still if they're.
No, absolutely. And that's really what I guess we're looking for is some sort of a motion from the board to allow that.
So I will make a motion for file in the interim so we can get Carol on board again and have the flexibility for staffing as much as we can stay open within what we have. That's too many. Okay.
Got there. I guess the only thing that I would add is I think the last meeting the library was closed temporarily through this date. Obviously, through this motion, the ability to modify the budget one point. Yes, talking to you with the co-workers tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Some of the costs like that. If the motion go through and they'll talk about some things that as far as I think this is scheduled for this year.
And we do still need to discuss that. Thank you. Would someone like to second Sarah's motion? You don't have to repeat the whole thing again.
Right. I would be happy to second Tara's motion.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion. That's a secondary motion. I would like to in a secondary motion to discuss the summer reading program tomorrow.
So I would make a motion to allow Chris and Mel to discuss the feasibility to safely run what is scheduled for tomorrow, and if they so choose to do so, to do so. If they choose not to and feel that it is a safety risk, they have the latitude to make that decision.
And in that event, should we publicly state that the summer reading program event is what? I mean, it's, right. So now it's 24. Disappointing the little kids. I'm quite honest, I really do. I mean, I think if we can all show up and drag Mel down there with us, then maybe we can. As volunteers, maybe we could pull this off. We just have to have people to check in and kind of watch over the kids, check in the trucks. We've all been at events together in the past.
I think as far as the board's off right now, and work with Chris and with HR, I think that'd be appropriate. I know, like you said, it's 3:40. Board members can be at places that deliberate and take action or things like that. So we can't be at things there are certain.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to still land where we can.
Okay.
I agree with you. Personally.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I'm aware. How long is the event, Joe? Can you give us a scope on when to when? Jack. I don't want to misspeak.
I'm just on Facebook.
When it runs on six.
And so we're going to kick off.
And we'd run a little later than noon when we did, like, last year we did the carnival, and that went on, I think, until about 2. Yeah, that was a long one, but I think, it's a touch truck thing, and so the kids can come out and see the truck. So we could probably do it for just a couple hours. But I think we'd need to be there at least by 9 to check in the trucks. Maybe a little earlier, but maybe we can figure that out. If you ladies are willing.
Sorry, I have a previous.
I can find a proxy
for me. I can find a substitute.
That'd be great. Thank you. No, thank you, ladies. So at least we can get that covered. Wonderful.
How are we going to have access to the library itself if all of us are volunteers and there aren't any actual staff?
Maybe, Jim? You might have to sit closer.
Yeah. We'll check. Like these or where we'll work.
Great.
We'll,
All right, so moving on, consideration and possible action regarding an update on the filled and unfilled library employee positions, including steps for recruitment and hiring of unfilled positions. Great to
that have been released.
Good answer a lot of these questions. I'm going for
Yeah,
earlier.
that's true. I just didn't want to skip over it.
Right.
So at least you can actually have some action. We'll give them a couple minutes. We begin our discussion on the creation and possible action of unfilled library employee positions, and as one of my colleagues noted, we have really talked through quite a bit of this stuff. Chris, if you have anything else you'd like to add to this agenda item?
Yeah, so I just got off the phone with one of the staff librarians. She'll be there tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So she says everything is ready to go. She just needs to keep getting in. And so that doesn't absolve people from graciously committing to be some volunteers. But it certainly has a staff member there that understands the program. As I mentioned before, the librarian position is the application's been reviewed. It's a matter of setting interviews at this point. But I want to kind of just take a step back, and if Carol is going to be involved in this, I will email her those applications for her review. And then the library assistant position that went out on I think yesterday or the day before. I think yesterday. We've got that open for, I believe, 2 weeks or a little over 2 weeks, and I'm going to keep people posted on with that.
Clarify for me, when you say email to Carol, all of the applications or the vetted ones that have been reviewed?
All of the applications, 100%. We do this through our computer software, and it gets sent out to the subject matter experts, and then they go through and do the review. Obviously, she can't do that, so I would print them all out and get her input on all of them.
Thank you. And Chris, how many I know you mentioned 6 last time.
No, there's more. I want to say there was somewhere around 14.
Oh, nice.
But I cautioned the board last time, and I will caution the board again. I have reviewed them, and there are some that are well qualified and some that, in my opinion. So.
Thank you.
Yes, that's been posted.
Any applicants for that yet? Have you heard?
Honestly, I've been focusing on some other things. I know we have at least one.
Okay.
I don't know if there's been any more that have been.
Okay.
Thank you for your work.
Thank you very much. I don't believe any action then is necessary on this. We've gotten the full report. So, our next agenda item is to set the date and time of our regular library board meetings. My calendar. The third Thursday. So we have it on the calendars already. Well, thank you. So we have it on our calendar. Thursday, June 7th, 3 o'clock, and we'll be back in the commission chambers. Thank you. Thank you very much. Second opportunity for public comment during the meeting. Is there anything anyone else would like to say in closing? Thank you very much for your attendance, and we stand adjourned.